Hi everyone, welcome to Artist Palette. My name's Karin. Today we are drawing the Pumpkin Town Halloween sign, which is going to be super fun. I'm going to wait till a little after 6:30 to get started so that some more people can join. But in the meantime, you can grab your materials. I'm just using a regular HB pencil today and a 4B. So if you're new to drawing with me, at the bottom of your pencil, this one's all scratched off, but usually it tells you like a letter and a number at the bottom. The 4B basically is a thicker lead, and it'll give you more contrast and like blacker areas. So you'll want to grab one of those. If you don't have one, you can still achieve the drawing, so it's okay. And I'll go over my material list again as people join, so I might be repeating myself a few times. And then just some colored pencils. So I have yellow, orange, and red and brown. I think that's it. And a black pen. I just used a black pen for outlining the jack-o'-lantern's face. So if you have a black pen, you can also grab that. And then just some Q-tips for smudging. And that's it. So I'm just going to wait a few minutes. Maybe you can tell me where you're tuning in from. It's always nice to see kind of the scope of where everybody's tuning in from around the world. I'm in Ontario, Canada. I'm sure you guys know that. Hi, Joanna. It is my favorite time of year. I absolutely love Halloween. Been obsessively watching Hocus Pocus with my stepkids. Basically on repeat the entire month of October. Gun Barrel City. That's an interesting name for a town. That's awesome. I've been to Texas. Pretty fun. If you don't have colored pencils, you could probably use like a little marker or something. Even crayon would work. It's not really like we're not really doing too much with the colors, just like an added little touch. So we'll get started at 6:35 my time. Like 5 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes. I'll go over my materials again as well, just as people are signing in. This one's super simple, so it's kind of fun. If you're maybe want to switch it up and don't want to do like a full page, you could always make it into like maybe a little Halloween card. So you could like fold up your paper and just do it like smaller. It'd be kind of fun. I always kind of change it up. It'd be fun if you could frame it and you could have it for some Halloween art. I just got stung by a wasp like right before I went live. Just, oh, it's driving me nuts. It's weird because I I've gone my whole life without getting stung by a wasp, and suddenly there was one on my fridge door handle, and I didn't know what it was. I thought it was like a piece of food, so I like grabbed it, and then I was like, ah, my finger's starting to swell really bad. So I'm getting quite a lot of people joining in now, so I'm going to get started. I'm just going to go over my material list one more time just for the new joiners. So basically just a HB pencil, so just a regular standard drawing pencil. And if you have a pack of pencils, you can, well, I just got to find mine. Like on your pack of pencils, sometimes you have like a variety of different kinds. So the B pencils, so I always start with a HB is basically your standard lead. And then once you go higher in the numbers, so 4B, so that's what I'm using as well, is a 4B pencil. Basically, the higher the number, the thicker the lead, and then the darker shade of black you're going to get. So I use that 4B pencil to get some like really heavier darks in there. If you just have an HB pencil or just a regular school pencil, you can still achieve the drawing. Basically, just press a little harder to get some different tones, some different dark shades in there. And I'll always tell you when I'm switching my pencils. And then also some colored pencils. So I just got yellow, orange, red, and brown. Just for the moon and some glow and the pumpkin. And then some Q-tips for smudging. And also a black pen. If you don't have that, again, you don't have to. I just did it for some subtle detail in the jack-o'-lantern. So I just kind of outlined his little face with some black. I don't know if I already said it, but Q-tips for smudging and an eraser. And that is it. Ooh, that's a good tip, Pam. Yeah, it's killing me. It's like progressively getting more painful. So we're going to get started with just our outline. So just our HB pencil, just a regular drawing pencil. So we're going to start with that outline of the tree. Now for those of you who haven't drawn with me before, my, not rule, but kind of my little advice is when you're doing your outline, try and go nice and soft with the outline, because you don't want it like a heavy dark black line to start, because you kind of have to add things on top of your outline, and sometimes you need to adjust your image as you kind of add things to it. So it's easier to erase a lighter line than it is a darker line. So let's just get started with that outline of the tree. I'm going to press a little harder just so that you can see what I'm doing, but try and go nice and light. So we're just kind of coming up the side. We're going to make that like weird sort of bendy shape. And you don't have to do it exactly like mine. And just go with your own discretion. Hey, I kind of make it nice and creepy, adding all those lumps. Climbing up into like a spiral. Or, sorry, zigzag. Didn't make sense. And then we're going to branch off, quite literally. And don't worry about the little tiny branches just yet. We're just going to get the main sort of structure of the tree. I'm going to bring it over here. Give it a little flat but bumpy line, if that makes sense. And just follow that same shape. So basically at the bottom of your tree, it's thicker. So the trunk is always thicker. And then as you're climbing up, we're getting thinner. But you still want to give it some thickness at the top. Like it doesn't have to go like pencil thin. No pun intended. Big. And you don't have to follow like this exact shape. Like you still want to give it some body here. Might bring this in just a bit. Stick this out a bit more. I want it a little bit more creepy. So something like that. And it can just be your own. Just gonna feel it out. And the more arched it is, kind of the more creepy it is. So I feel like this is like a little bit too, I kind of want to get a little bit more like, whop. Just take a minute and sort of play with your outline. I just want it a little thicker at the base here. And I might stick this part out like, you know, a little bit more. Okay. And then, so once, then we're going to branch off again over here. Okay, now this one's just like, it goes up and then down into like sort of more of a flat. It's pretty arched. And then I wanted a little perch for my, what do you call those? Vultures. Now where he's sitting, so this vulture here is, this is kind of where we're going to get like a little flat. So we're just kind of breaking off into like a little Y shape. The thing with trees is that they always go into Y shapes. You'll see what I mean once we get into the tiny twigs. And instead of like flat lines, for now you can just, for the outline, you can get those, you're just trying to get those lines in. But we want it to look natural. So to get that more natural look, you want to add like lumps and bumps into your tree to make it kind of a bit more organic looking, so they're not just flat sort of surfaces. So just keep that in mind as you're like adding, as you're doing your outline. Okay, so as I'm climbing away from the main trunk, they're getting smaller in shape or smaller in size. And just flattening off. So this, again, with trees, they're like this Y shape. So as I'm getting skinnier, I'm going to branch off into different little twigs and make it like a Y, like the letter Y. So see how it's like, yep, they're just getting skinny. Sorry if my camera keeps focusing and unfocusing, I can repeat what I did. This webcam's really irritating. So just let me know if it gets too out of focus. But see how it's like a Y shape? And so branches never just directly grow straight out from the tree. It's like an extension of the tree. Okay, so you're like going along that line and then branch off. And they're always growing off, and so you can get like teeny tiny ones coming off those the other ones. So see how they always look like a Y shape? Now we can go over here. This one, I'm going to change my shape. I'm realizing I kind of want it to look a little bit more creepy. I didn't really achieve that too much over here, so I'm just going to add another little kink to my tree here. I just want it to go a little bit more drastic. This is where you want to play with your outline if you're not liking it, because once we add those signs in, you're not really going to be able to adjust it too much. So if you're seeing if something's off, do it now. I just wanted to add a little bit more of a curve at the top there. There we go. Now I like it better. So I just kind of, so that's what I mean by like your outline, where you never want to go too heavy with that first initial outline, because as you kind of add things, you can see where you want to adjust and play with it. It's easier, again, to erase a lighter line than it is a darker line. Okay, so let's add that second branch in. So I kind of went flat here because I'm going to stick that other vulture there. Okay, and as we're climbing away from that main trunk, try and get skinnier or narrower with your branch. Okay, so I'm just climbing up into this one. Okay, so see how I'm like getting skinnier and skinnier, but you don't want it to just go like a little V point. You kind of have to gradually get that narrow line in. I'll get that out of the shadows. And then again, make it like a Y shape. So now you're just kind of branching off into a Y. And then I can add other little twigs kind of coming off that branch. And I want like another kind of main piece here. So I'm just going to go whoop and add like a bigger branch. You can have some that kind of overlap each other, some twiggies. Okay, it is dead, so I didn't add like too much going on like in the branch. I guess you could add like tiny little ones if you wanted to, but since it's a dead tree, I kind of didn't want too much going on with it. It's an old decrepit stump. There's our tree. Get it to a point that you like it, because again, once we add these signs, it's hard to adjust your main outline. And then we're just going to add the signs in, and they're quite simple. Like this is I made it very simple so that we could do it for all ages. So we're going to start, I just kind of started with the bottom one, then climbed my way up. And they're just simple lines across. So you kind of want them going in different directions. They've kind of fallen. They've been there for a long time. So some are just crooked. So just get your main width, the main sort of board shape. You can erase the outline that kind of cuts between it. If I'm ever going too fast, or yeah, if I'm ever going too fast, just tell me slow down. But if I'm going too slow, I generally like to keep a good pace, but I'll always slow down, but I'll never speed up, basically. For the end of each sign, so it's basically just like a jagged point. So instead of, like, don't really think too much. Like, don't be like, I'll show you what not to do first. Like that's going to look too fake. To make it look a little bit more realistic, don't really think about it. I just went zigzag quick, zigzag. So I really zigzagged it in, get different like rhythm. So you want like go far in and far out. I kind of make different levels of your little zigzags. Right now for the paper, I'm just using, you can just use regular sketch paper, but if you want mine in particular, if you're going to do some future drawings, I'm using the Karin. It's a drawing pad, and it's the recycled paper. And the weight, so weight is very important when you're drawing. This is a 70 pound, so basically the thicker, or like the heavier the weight, the thicker the paper. And I prefer a thick paper because my pencil doesn't jab through it, and I tend to press hard when I'm drawing. So just for future reference, I usually, if I'm doing like a commission piece, I use like 100 pound paper. Okay, so then the other side, just I'm like literally zigzagging quickly. Zigzag in. Like, don't think of every little point. Very quick. Quick little zigzags. The more like teeny tiny zigzags you have, the more old and decrepit it looks. Okay, so let's go for the next one. I did this one a little bit more straight. Okay, and we want to fit 5 signs on there. So kind of, you don't want to go too far. Too far apart, so that you can squish them all in there. And again, just zigzaggy. Okay, yeah, this one I just went zigzaggy, went far in and then back out. It's quick, 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 quick. Don't think of every little point. And erase. I guess we could just erase our outline after. This one I did a little bit different, so I'm gonna point this one down a bit more. And this one I wanted, instead of a zigzag, I did a little bit more boxy. So I still did zigzags, but it kind of had more like boxy points. So it kind of has like an arrow. So if you want to like draw out the little boxes and then add the zigzags. So it's kind of like more like little sectioned off, and then zigzagged each end of those boxes. So it's a little different. Same on this side. It's like a little bit more boxy, kind of cut a box part out and then boom. Yeah, the Sleepy Hollow one I did a little differently in shape too. So I kind of went like a shorter line, and then I'll make the soft outline, then you can add the zigzag. So I kind of made it more of like it has like little arrow shapes. Kind of more of that shape, and then you can go in and on those tips just add your jagged little edges. And then the last one I stuck kind of layered in behind the other one. This one's shooting up that way. And this one I made more of like an arrow. Okay, and then you can go in and erase your outline of your tree that cuts in. I think what I'll do is I always like to work from like one side over to the other, so I'm not dragging my hand across my work. So I don't always add in like the outline of everything until like the end. So I'm just debating. Maybe we could fill in the tree first and then kind of add everything after. Let's do that. So one thing you'll want to grab is a blank sheet of paper, just like a scrap piece of paper, just to cover up your hand. Sorry, I should have said that in the beginning. So I just grab an old piece of paper, doesn't have to be anything, and just fold it up, and I put that under my hand so I'm not smudging my work as I go, because the oils in your hand, like the palm of your hand, is going to be staining your paper, and it kind of makes it harder to do things or erase, because you're like literally putting oil onto your paper, and then it's harder to kind of layer on top of it. So just take a second, go grab yourself a scrap piece of paper, and then we're going to start filling in our tree. So we're not going to worry about the outline of anything just yet. We'll just kind of work away step by step. I'll give you 30 seconds and go. Before we start filling in the tree, we're going to add these gross little sort of mossy, I don't know what it is, just dead debris. So up on a tree branch, I kind of didn't really make mine. I need to kind of fix my branch here just to be able to squeeze that in if I want to make it look the same. Again, you can go with your own, like if you don't have to make it look like mine, but obviously I want to teach what I drew, so I'm just going to fix this up a bit. I'm just giving myself a little bit more space between those branches. Spanish moss, thank you. Trying to think of what that was. I have the image in my head, but okay, so just kind of give a little lump on maybe your branches to hang it off of. Okay, and then same idea as the board, well, like the outside of the board with the zigzag. It's the same with the moss. So you're just sort of dangling it down, zigzag back up. Come back down, zigzag back up. You can make it long and droopy. zigzag, go back down, zigzag, come back up. It's long and just erase that inner branch. And we can do one over here. Zigzag down, come back up. Zigzag down. And maybe we'll just add, I'm just trying to think of what's on top of the tree. Might add the birds in now, just the outlines of them, and that way we don't have to erase their wings. And then fill in the tree. So this guy over here, I've started with his little pot belly. It's kind of easier to give a little teeny tiny belly. Fat little dude eating spiders. And then coming off that, so I just did like, look at everything in shapes. So his head's a little circle, so right on top of that head. They're really crouched over. They're always on the hunt or the prowl for something. So that head is like literally sitting right over top of his stomach. And it gives a little dip. And that circle's dip for the neck. And then that's where you can work into that wing. Okay, so right beside his head. And it's like a big scoop and then comes into a triangle. Pretty standard, like a teardrop shape upside down. Can anybody else not see what I'm doing? I think my lighting's pretty not bad. It's usually worse. What part is not, are you not able to see? Somebody else having troubles seeing what I'm doing? I'm just gonna continue if you can see fine. Okay. So that neck sort of comes into that. Give yourself a little dip between those wings. So it kind of cuts off the neck part that we did. And this one over here is just a little smaller. So it's like a big scoop that kind of comes into that head shape. Yeah, there's just that little shadow. It's just from my tripod. I can move my light here. That makes it a little easier. Again, we're not going to really see the back of that wing. And then the beak. So it's like a V in the head. Okay, so it's not, the beak isn't coming off of the outline of the head. I'm going to come up close to the camera, and once I come back down, it might fuzz out. So just give me a second to readjust my camera. It's temperamental. I just want you to be able to see what I'm doing with that beak. Okay, so it's like a little V point inside the head and it comes out from the head. A lot of people think to start the beak on the outline. So it's just like a little box. So V and a box, and then dip. Okay, and from that little dip come in between that little box, and then this side can just join in to the rest. You can even make it bigger. It's kind of hard to could be your computer screen, Lana. If you press the like brightness, there's like usually a little sunshine thing. You can brighten up your screen. That could be it. I'm just gonna make that beak just a little bit bigger. It's just kind of hard to hold my sketchbook and show at the same time. I'm just gonna make it a little thicker, and they have really big beaks. Okay, and then the creepy little eye is just like a little scoop and a ball that comes off that scoop. I don't really do much for the feet. They kind of get hidden within the branch, but I kind of just added like a little toe, a little pointy thing there. I didn't want to like fuss with too much detail on that vulture. So let's add the other one. So now he's opposite on this side. Sorry, I kind of messed this guy up. This guy's good. Get a little more scooped with his wing. You want that like drastic, they're really arched to make them creepy. So same on this side. You can actually start with his head on this one. He's a little different. You start with a little ball in his neck. And then from there, you can just add his wing. And his belly. And his other wing. And we might see a sliver of his back wing just coming into that side of the body. And then you can do that beak shape again. And just remember they're really big. So I'm gonna put that a little bit more drastic on this one. And that really creepy looking eye. I don't know what I did to this guy. It's looking weird. I gave him too much of a pot belly. I have to bring his wing in. I think his wing was a little bit too big. Simple fixes can really change the outlook of something. So let's start filling in the tree. So basically one side is going to be heavier with shadow. So my left side of my tree, because the moon is here, so it's casting like a bright highlight on the one side, so the opposite side would be darker. So I'm switching to my 4B pencil, because it's a heavier lead. If you don't have one, again, you don't, you can still achieve the drawing. You just have to maybe press a little harder to get that really like dark contrast. Basically the 4B pencil just is easier to achieve it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what like the bigger image is for the tree texture, but we just have to keep in mind that we have the signs in between, so we have to kind of like do that same texture but in like teeny tiny areas because we kind of have to work around our signs. But basically is what I'm doing is I'm using the side of my pencil to give myself a texture. So I'm holding it flat to my paper. Okay, so I'm not using the tip of my pencil. When you use the tip of your pencil, it makes lines. When you use the side of your pencil, it kind of gives you this like textury look. Okay, and we want to use that to our advantage, and then we'll go in. So first we're going to like cover a little area with the side of the pencil, and then go in with the tip of the pencil and add some like scribblies. So for the scribblies, like think of bark, the bark on the tree. Again, it's all kind of like zigzaggies, but try and think of like knots in wood, how they're like stretched zigzaggy spirals. So I'm just going in a zigzaggy spiraled motion, and then it can just, or you could just scribble it in. It'll look like you can do a variety. So you can do like some that are more of like the knot in the wood, and then you can just do like long stretched zigzags. Okay, once you fill it all in, you're not going to see, it's kind of like faking the detail. So you don't have to go in and draw every little piece of bark. When you kind of scribble with intention, see how it makes that wood texture? So that's all we're going to be doing for the tree. Easy peasy. So we're going to get it really full on the one side, and then as we kind of work to the right side, just do a little less so you can stretch out your spirals a little bit more, maybe not add as many scribbles. Okay, so it's going to be a little less tight, so that we can go in with the yellow and the orange and add in that highlight for the moon. Okay, so start with just going in a little section, filling in with the side of your pencil. It's kind of hard with those little pieces, so you could just sort of fill it in a light gray tone. Okay, let's just do all the upper section together, and then we'll work into those little tiny areas. And remember to cover up your hand as you start to draw. Now it's a harvest moon, usually in October around Halloween. I just do orange creepy moons. I don't know. Makes it look more creepy, I think. You could just do a yellow moon if you want. It doesn't have to be realistic. It's a drawing, so just whatever. You want it to be a purple moon. You might get a green moon if you like. So my zigzags are going like with the shape of the branch. So I'm kind of working up this way. And underneath each branch would be heavier. So the heaviest part on this side is going to be underneath. So I'm just pressing a little harder, getting a little tighter and darker with my scribbles. And I could do a green moon Doesn't matter, it's art. Art can be whatever you want it to be. If you're going for heavy realistic, then you would want to go probably gray or yellow or white or something. I don't know. It's a creepy Halloween picture. I'm just going really heavy on this one side, so I'm kind of adding another layer of scribbles. I'm kind of in the center point. It's basically just heavy black. Like I just kind of split the tree with like a big black V point. And I'm starting to make my scribbles go this way. And underneath, well, technically the halo or the light side, because the tree's right behind, it would make this branch like all silhouetted and like black. But again, with art, you can kind of just, you don't have to make it heavy realistic. This is just like a fun little Halloween thing, so we don't have to get too crazy with things being drastically realistic. So I still kind of just added my shadow and my highlight as I did this side, just to give it some other little dynamic. Okay, in this bend, there would be a little bit more darker black, so I'm going in just a little heavier. Hey, bug. See ya. I'm just going in with another little layer. And then all these little tiny sections you kind of have to do like really intricately. Again, on this one side where it's facing the moon, just a little less scribbles. Yep, regular HB Vicky, and then right now, currently I'm using my 4B pencil. I always start with my HB whenever I'm doing an outline, just a regular pencil. And then as I want contrast or heavy dark areas, I always switch to like a 4B or 5B. So it gets a little bit tricky in these little tiny spaces, but basically just zigzag up and down. Again, your first layer is just this, using the side of your pencil. And then zigzag. For the signs, we're going to do those next. Start thinking about what you want to put on them. You don't have to do what I did. Maybe if you have like a favorite, I kind of still wanted to keep it like family friendly. So if you wanted like more horror movies like that you like, that are you kind of are more inspired by, then you can maybe use the towns and those kind of movies. I just tried to keep like typical, I guess Elm Street was like from a very creepy movie, but I'm going to run my trunk off. So it's going to kind of come off the corner of my page. Just going to get rid of this for now. It doesn't really matter what this under layer looks like. I just have to report somebody. Holy smokes. Someone's on here calling me names. Haters like to throw shade on those who shine. These zigzaggies are getting a little bit more obvious. So now this is where you kind of want to add in those knots in the wood. Just kind of just like calling me names. Telling me I'm horrible at drawing. Fun. I'm not here to draw like Michelangelo. We're just having fun, you know. Someone's always got to rain on others' parades. So I don't have anything better to do. YouTube is a very colorful place, I can tell you that. Thank you for your positivity. I appreciate it. Okay. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to be adding things. You can add like a big split, like sometimes where there's roots. I just kind of went in like where the roots separate. I kind of just added like a big dark heavy split. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm using, Vicky. The vultures are weird, eh? Creepy looking things. And so I'm just going to add like little V points. It's really heavy. Just using the side of my pencil. I didn't really get too crazy. I might go in with another layer and get those really heavy blacks in the one side. I can even add like some over here, like really heavy texture. It's a big, vast area, so you can just alrighty. So we're gonna go in and do the signs, and it's actually the similar texture because it's wood. So we're just going to do it a little lighter. The only thing different is we're going to add like a heavy shadow underneath each sign to give it like a little bit of thickness. So I just went in actually with my HB pencil, not my 4B. So I'm switching my pencils right now. We're going to add the colored pencils at the end, so don't worry about that just yet. And I just went in a little thicker. It's like a heavy outline at the bottom of the sign. Yep. I'm going to add one up top too, just to make the sign pop from the tree. And then again, using that same texture, but just a little lighter now. So I'm just going in with the side of my pencil to sort of fill in the board, just to give it that rough wooden texture. And then just very like light scribbles. So we're going with the grain of the wood, but don't do them too heavy. You still want to see them, but you want your lettering to kind of stick out. So I just went very softly with some of that wood grain. And now I'm being a little bit more obvious with them. So I'm making more of that knotted look. So I'm making that spiraled shape. So again, so it's like a spiral, but stretched and zigzaggy. Are the microns like these? Are you using these? Because these are awesome. I love them. Is this what you're using? I always recommend having those on hand, even if you're doing a pencil drawing. I actually use that for the outline of the nose. And I just did this one today, and I used the micron. So I just want to show you because it's fun. To get that more graphic look, I use the microns for some outlining and some pencil crown. So yeah, if you ever come across a pack of those, I always recommend filling or picking a pack up. So I'm just going really light with that wood texture, and then just filling in my I'm just gonna darken my edge here, and I'm gonna go in with Pumpkin Town, and that is from the movie what is it, Nightmare Before Christmas. And I purposely made them look kind of hand drawn, so kind of make your letters a little bit like a crisscrossed over to make it look creepy, like for like an M. So instead of going like a perfect M, I made them like more crisscrossed over each other. Oh, it's okay. You can ask as many questions as you like. That's why we do it live. So I did Pumpkin Town. I barely like picked up my pencil when I did the lettering. Okay, next sign. So again, just that heavier outline at the bottom. Just to give it some thickness. Kind of redarkened my outline a bit. So I do that like that background really quick. Okay, this one I did Elm Street, obviously from Nightmare on Elm Street. I don't know if that's copyright, so shh. Probably not. It's not like we're drawing it. Ooh, Azkaban. That's a good idea. I like that one. I forget. Oh yeah. And my favorite, obviously, my favorite Halloween movie is Hocus Pocus. Always has been and always will be. But yeah, that one's Salem, so that's why I put that one up there. What's other people doing? Is anybody else changing their names? Got Azkaban from Harry Potter. Somebody have some other ideas what you could write? Amityville is what I'm doing right now. If you're wanting to copy mine. Whoa, I messed that all up. What? That's extra crisscrossed. Trying to think of other creepy town names. You put like Halloween Town. That was a movie. Anybody know where the Addams family was from? My house street. That's funny. Ooh, Transylvania. That's a good one. I'm going in with Sleepy Hollow now. I made my S like super like pointy. Ooh, Dracula's Castle. That's a good one. You could even put like nowhere or like I was gonna put something to do with the devil, but I didn't want to get too graphic if there was any kids in. HE double hockey sticks. Try to keep it PG a little bit. And then this one is Salem. My favorite. Ooh, Haydenville, Halloween. That's a good one. One of my favorite movies. I love the Rob Zombie one. Oh, I like the backstory of it. So let's go in and finish off our vultures and our moss, Spanish moss, and we'll start adding things. Oh, and the original one that we showed, there was no witch. I messed it up and like photoshopped it out, so that's why that's there, if you're wondering what that is. It's just like once I went over with the pencil crown, I got all like mucky and like looked horrible, so I was like, yeah, I'll just leave that one out. I couldn't erase it. So that's the Spanish moss. Again, I just kind of did the same texture. I just used the side of my pencil and went down this, kind of like shadowing the one side. So I kind of just went in, kept the top of it sort of highlighted, and go back down. I don't really know what the texture would be to that, so I just sort of went in to give it that grainy texture. So just kind of darken the little droopy parts. And then in the top, I just filled it in like a light gray. Not really much to that. Same with over here. I'm just getting that greeny. Just quickly filled it in. Wasn't much to it. The vultures. The wings are going to be, so instead of having like a smooth texture, again, that zigzaggy motion down their wing. Just the one, kind of like the one side. Just to give it a little bit of texture. It's such a small little area that we don't really need to get heavy with the details. Yeah, as soon as this is done, Sandy, once the live version's over, it just automatically uploads to YouTube, and then you can replay it, and it's on there forever, so you can always rewatch it at your own pace or time. So for the wings, again, it's so small, so I just went in with the side of my pencil and just gave it that texture, same, almost like the same idea as the tree. Tried to keep this one simple because I figured some kids would be doing it, so I didn't want to get too heavy with crazy detail. Just filled in the back wing like pretty much just black. And then you can get a little obvious with the feather, so I kind of just zigzagged. Same idea as almost like the Spanish moss, where I'm just like zigzagging down the tip of my pencil just to give it some like little bit of depth for wings. Now the belly, I just did dark at the top, so I kind of left the bottom of the belly. So just where the neck and the wing meet, I'm going really heavy. I'm still just using my HB pencil and just adding like a little bit of darkness in his belly. No particular, texture. Oh, there goes my focus. Oh, yay! Usually my webcam doesn't focus back in right away. I didn't fill in the head. All I did was take a Q-tip and gave it a little smudge where the neck and the top of the head. That's all I did. Didn't really do much else to that. Didn't even fill in the beak. Okay, again, they're just like little accessories to the drawing, so. Same on this side. I'll give your wing a little bit of extra fluff on the outside, so I just kind of zigzag down and then just scribbled in. You might want to get like some extra little thicker layers, so I just kind of pushed a little harder, went in with the side of my pencil, just because they have really black, sort of dark wings. You want to fill in that back wing quite heavily. Remember, there's like a little bit of it poking out in behind. And then I just shadowed like underneath his head, down underneath his wing, and just kind of kept his belly white, and then smudged in a little bit of shadow between his neck and head. Okay. So let's get all those extra things going. We'll do the moon. Maybe before we do anything, grab something. If you can practice your circles if you want, and just do the circular moon. Or if you want to grab something to trace, I grab like an old piece of tape roll. I should have told you this at the beginning. It's just, or you could grab a mug. Would be good if you want that perfect circle. If not, you can just hand draw it. Basically, I'm just making a little moon shape. I want mine bigger than that, so I'm going to go on the outside. Just going to skip over my bird. Okay, just very lightly. You don't need the moon outline to be drastically outlined, because we are going to fill it in with color. Just erasing my little outline here. Ooh, a protractor. There should be a moon kind of right in, tucked down this one side. So let's draw, I'm going to draw the spider. We'll do the spider, the lantern, the eyeballs, the pumpkin, the little trick-or-treater, and then we'll color it in. The spider's pretty simple. I just did like a faint little line for his little web. I'm gonna actually did him, he shouldn't be that way. Usually the string comes out of their butt, so I am going to change his direction. Just do a little circle. I'm actually gonna make him a little bit more creepy. Usually they have like a little circle butt with like a teeny tiny tip on the end. They're really disgusting. And then I just filled in and keeping like the one, like a little circle for a highlight on the side that's closest to the moon. So it's like a little, didn't completely fill them in, and then teeny tiny little head. Nasty little things. Ooh, I love bugs. Like every single bug, I'll pick it up. But for some reason, just I can't do spiders. I don't know what it is. I don't know why, because I love centipedes. They have like a million legs. I don't know if it's just like the arch in their leg that freaks me out. Okay, so I'm arching up first for his leg and then out, so like a little V shape, and then back in. I even hate drawing this right now. It's like disgusting to me. Ugh. And so the first two are going backwards. So it goes up, out, and back. And then the other two, getting like the heebie-jeebies just from drawing a spider. And then the opposite way, so up, in, up and in, and again. Oh, so nasty. Yeah, it's definitely the legs, I think, that freak me out. Ick. Icky, icky, icky. No lantern, so it's hanging off the tree. There's a little line down, no matter really how long it is. Line out, bring the two sides in, and flat across for the top. And then out, and flat across. And then a rectangle. And out, and across. And I put little Spanish moss coming off the side there. And then a candle in the middle, so it's just a little rectangle. And melted wax, so it's like, and then a flame. It's like a teardrop shape. Upside down. Or no, not upside down. The eyeball bats are pretty simple. Circle. And then another circle inside that for the iris. And then another circle inside that for the pupil. And then another circle inside that for the shine in the pupil. There's 4 circles in that eyeball. Okay, the pupil is going to be filled in black. So there's a teeny tiny little white circle inside that pupil that you're not filling in. And that iris, I just kind of softly filled it in like a little light gray. And then teeny tiny little squiggly lines for the veins in the eye. You can make them like little Y shapes, little thunderbolts. I did 2 of those. 1, 2, 3, 4 circles. Fill in the pupil, soft gray for the iris, and then some veins. Squiggly little teeny tiny veins. And the bat wings. Bat wings are always kind of weird for people. I think very unusual shape. They always start with the hook. Weird bug. Get out of here. Just hook them first. It's got like little horns. And then scoop out. Scoop in. And then it's like an umbrella shape. Scoop, 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 scoop in. Between each scoop, I did like a little V point. Like little black V's. And then shadow the top of them, the wings. And then softly just fill that in, the rest of it light gray. Get it. You can add like little lines beside your V. Another little line across. Just add in some little detail. No problem. Shannon, I hope I said that right. As soon as I'm done, it uploads automatically to Facebook and you can rewatch it. Here, hook out, scoop, and a scoop, scoop in, and deet, 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 deet. Oh, I did that one kind of weird, didn't I? I wasn't even looking. I was reading the comments and whoopsies. You must look at what you're doing while you draw. I didn't even really put too much detail. It just looks like I did with the wings. Sometimes I just scribble in little, as long as you have like blacks and whites going, it just kind of makes it look like it has detail. Now for my favorite part is a pumpkin. I love, 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 love pumpkins. So we're going to do a little jack-o'-lantern. Now go really soft with your outline because we're going to fill it in with pencil crayon. So I always start with the center of the pumpkin. So I just go make that general shape. Like scooped, And then I come off that so it's like a little lump. There's a little big. And a lump. Bring it in. And a smaller lump and bring it in. Sorry, this guy shouldn't fit. I'll have to scoop that guy out. Make him a little bit more rounder. And my jack-o'-lantern face, which was like a triangle, but long on the one side. So like short, long, bring it in. Does anybody know what that is? An acute? No, maybe not. Isosceles? Let's try and get our math up to date here. I can't remember what the correct triangle term for that is. And teeny tiny triangle nose. And then a spiky mouth. So ink. Ink, 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 ink. And for the stem, you kind of want it nice and curled to make it extra creepy. So I went into a hook, kind of like an S shape, and thicker at the base. And right angled triangle. I knew I could rely on you, Susan. So that's my little jack-o'-lantern. So now we're going to do the little ghosty dude, which is so cute. A little trick-or-treater. So I'm not sure what will be easier, if we just do the outline or kind of make it into shapes. I might just do it in shapes for you. So just do a little circle, kind of aiming outwards. That's his head. I would say I'm a professional, so what I usually do is like realistic pet portraits and faces. I just teach for Artist Palette. I just don't use like my heavy realism when I'm teaching, because I like to make it simple and then kind of build people up. So I would say that I'm professional on my own terms. I make it a living, so I guess you could say. I like to make it simple for all ages. And then the back, so just from that head, you're just coming in, kind of like scoop it, give it a little bit of a neck, and then arch out for the back. And come around the face. And we're coming down for an arm. It's a little sheet, so you can get his little hand kind of reaching into his bucket. I might adjust that after I'm already seeing that it's off, and then scoop it back in. And then he's sitting kind of crouched down, so this is his little knee, and scoop in. Okay, I'm gonna fix his little, once I draw his jack-o'-lantern, I'm gonna make the sheet kind of dip in more, like have it a little bit longer. I'm gonna add in his shoe. So it's just like a little line for his ankle. And just coming down and into the tree. If you kind of lost your like if it's not reaching your tree, you can just add in like another little piece of ground. And then his jack-o'-lantern, so it's just a little circle. Or sorry, his trick-or-treat pumpkin. And at the top, so it's open, so it's an oval shape. Actually, I did it bigger. Sorry. I'm just going to bring it in tighter and higher so it can reach his little hand. Maybe start with the oval. Sorry about that. Start with the oval close to him and then build your little thing. These little jack-o'-lanterns, so you can just do that little typical little jack-o'-lantern face. And little lines for like the divot in the thing. So they're scooped on this side because it's a rounded object. So the line in the center would be straight. These ones would be scooped to the left. These ones are going to be scooped to the right over here. And a little hook for the handle. And this is where I'm going to fix the little ghost hand and just make it a little longer so it looks like he's like reaching for some candy. And erase that inner circle for the head. I did little eyes, a little oval. And the other one's kind of like off to the side a bit. Little ovals. The one that's to the right would be smaller. And then just a little mouth. Woo! A ghosty. So cute. And then I just shadowed sort of the bottom. It's a white sheet, so there wouldn't be too much. Sorry, give your tree like a little bit more of an outline so you can tell where he's sitting. And then I just added, just using the side of my pencil, added a little bit of pencil at the bottom and then took my Q-tip and smudged it up. And shadow under the knee a little bit. And down around his head. I'm just using the lead that's already on my Q-tip just to give him a little bit of dimension. Same with the pumpkin. You can sort of just I just shadowed the bottom, maybe along the little creases. If you want, you could fill it in. I could fill these eyes in. I think I meant to on my original. I just kind of forgot. For the candy, I just filled it in black. Just using the side of my pencil. So now I think we're ready to do some background. Let's color. Let's just switch it up, and then we'll do the hazy sort of fog. What time is it? Still got half an hour, so I'm going to start with my yellow, and I just went in with my tree and added kind of in those little gaps where you didn't scribble in. I'm just throwing in some yellow. Okay, some along the top and kind of down in the side. You can add in a touch of orange as well. And if you have like a green moon or whatever, this would be green instead. I'm just coming down the right side. I'm just kind of scribble it in as well as you did. Don't worry about it making sense or not. It's just about exploring and having fun. You kind of learn from playing. We can go in with that orange. I didn't do too much with the orange. I just kind of splashed it in a bit in and around the yellow. Give it a little bit of glow. You can add a touch of yellow to the beak and the top of the head of the vultures. Teeny tiny little glow on their head. And the spider where that little white part is. The signs, the tip of the signs. I added a little bit of yellow. Just on the right side. The top of the ghost head, just a little swoop. A faint little teeny touch of orange, not much. And we'll do the moon, and then we'll color in the jack-o'-lantern and the lantern, and then we'll do that haze. So first with the moon, as you're kind of finishing up your little touches of highlight, I went dark first. So I went in with my orange, just to give it like a nice little ring, give it that like harvest moon. So just with my orange, I'm going around the outside. Just go soft. You don't have to press very hard, because you kind of want the yellow to fade into the orange. And then I just went in with my yellow. It's all about layering, so you don't have to go like press really hard at first. You kind of just play with it. You add another layer. Try and get like a nice under layer first, and then once you want to deepen your tone, you can go back in and add another layer. Just kind of get a nice blend happening first. You can add the witch. It really gets messed up, so I mine got a little wonky. And now this is where you can just go back in, deepen your orange a little bit, blend it into your yellow. And press a little harder if you want. I probably used a different yellow, actually. Depends on your pencil crown. This is the Derwent Color Soft, and it's like very pigmented. You can see the difference. See how deep that is. So don't get discouraged if it's not getting that deep tone for you. It's just all based on the quality of your pencil crown. So the first brand I was using was the Stadler. Never know how to say that. And then this one's the Derwent Color Soft. And you can visibly see the difference. So again, it's all just what you got. They're a bit more expensive, but I've had them for, like the Derwents, for since I was like 12, I think. I'm now 31, so I've had them for a long time. They're nice. Okay, let's let's do our little pumpkin, and then we'll do the lantern after. So I'm really excited to do it because I'm obsessed with pumpkins. First, you can fill in the eyes, bright yellow, and the mouth and the nose. This one, so I'm using the Derwent Color Soft for my orange and my yellow. Kind of been playing a bit with all different sort of brands. The Stadler for just some highlighting. The Derwent, I don't think they're a very common brand, so I try not to use them too much, but that is what I'm using. So for the orange, there's, okay, I can't use that one, it's broken. For the orange, just pull down, so I'm pulling down in like little streaks. Okay, I'm not going all the way to the middle, so basically we're going to highlight the middle of the pumpkin with some yellow. You can still certainly like add in like little pulls of the orange. Okay, but leave some gap for some yellow highlighting. So I'm not completely filling in the center. Basically just really orange on the top and the bottom of each little panel. And then just like a little bit of spacing in the center for that yellow. Yeah, I find the Stadler it's not a nice blending one. That's why I don't really use it unless I'm just going in strictly for like adding in a quick little thing that's not going to blend. I do agree with that. I do like them. I do like their pencil brands. That's what I use professionally every day for my drawings. But yeah, if you do want to get into like blending stuff, or like really get into pencil crayon art, I would really suggest the Faber-Castell brand. They're really, I would say, really expensive, but really worth it. That's the Faber-Castell. They're beautiful quality. This tin itself was probably like 75 bucks. So they are expensive, but they're beautiful. And then the Derwent, I have a love-hate relationship with them. They're kind of hard sometimes. They don't blend well with other, I would say they don't blend well with other brands. And then like a cheaper version. Oh, sorry. I'm just going in with my yellow right now and filling in those little gaps. And then not cheaper, but a more priced or nicely priced pencil crayon that's really good for blending is Prismacolor. I love Prismacolor. They're like, I'd say they're above student grade. And I've had these since I was like a kid. They're awesome. So they're more affordable. I don't even think these are my Prismacolors. No, they're not. Those are Crayola. But yeah, that is a good brand if you want to get into pencil crayons and not break your wallet. Sorry, I'll stop talking. And then brown. So I'm just going in with some brown and pulling in between. That's not the right brown. pulling in between those little panels of the pumpkin. So those first outlines of the pumpkin or jack-o'-lantern that we did. So I'm kind of outlining those little panels and pulling down some brown from the top of the pumpkin. So it'll kind of deepen your tone of your orange, which is nice. Makes it a little bit more richer. So I'm like outlining the pumpkin with that brown, just pulling like little streaks. And then for the stem, kind of like what I did with the tree. So I'm just basically scribbling up with the brown. Easy peasy. I think I used a deeper brown. That's very light looking. I used like a really dark brown. I just can't seem to find it. These ones. Anyways, you can see my issue. I have too many. And then take your black pen. This is optional. I just outlined my jack-o'-lantern eyes, nose, and mouth with a black pen. You can use a ballpoint pen, just like a regular Bic pen. You can use those microns that I suggested earlier. It just kind of helps make that mouth or that face pop. Fun stuff. While we're still have our pencil crown, let's go in and fill in that lantern. Basically, I just did a little bit of yellow, filled in the middle, a little bit of orange, and filled in the flame, bright orange, and a little bit of orange in the wax. It's kind of dripping down. Easy peasy on that. Back to your pencil. I just forgot to fill in the lantern. So I just shaded the one side. Now, again, it would be silhouetted because the moon is in the background. But again, something like this, you don't really have to get too technical with what would make sense. It's just a fun sort of little drawing. So I just shadowed the one side. Maybe the light is kind of wrapping around. It doesn't really matter. It's just fun. And again, that little moss, I just lightly filled it in gray. Now, before we do the background, I just want to make sure I got everything. Ooh, Monster Town. That's a good one, too. Okay. Just thinking here for a second. Okay, we'll add the glow around the moon after. We just have to do that fog. So with your, oh, sorry, that's my 4B pencil. I meant to use my HB. With your HB pencil, so your regular pencil, we're going to add a little bit of fog. So think of, I'm going to show you on this little scrap piece of paper. So think of a cloud. Usually people like to do that like cartoony, like typical, like puffy cloud shape. Okay, clouds, when they're like really foggy, fog itself is very like flat, long and flat, and then has like a big kind of cap on top. Okay, so that's the general shape that we're going to do our fog in, and then we're going to smudge it out so it's nice and like soft. So just use the side of your pencil. Don't push too hard. You don't want this like really stark, really black, foggy thing. We're just going nice and gentle. Okay, so long and flat. So we're going over top of everything. So don't work around your objects. Okay, so we're just going in, and we're gonna erase after and make like a white fog. But we kind of need this like background gray tone for us to be able to have the white on top of it. And so I'm just kind of throwing it in. Doesn't have to be just perfectly these shapes everywhere. Trying to mix them up. Maybe this one's more of like a little C shape. Have some coming off the side. Some over your pumpkin. And this one's like a zigzag motion. Again, use the side of your pencil. Very gentle. You don't really have to go over all your objects. I'm just sort of adding in a little bit of gray, and then we're going to go in with that eraser and blammo. We'll be done. And then you're going to take your Q-tip, a Q-tip, and smudge those little spots out. Oh, first, before you drop your pencil, we need to do the little shoelace just on his, the trick-or-treater's little foot. Just added like little scribbly line where the, just to give that the idea that there's a shoe there, little pants. So it's not an actual ghost, it's an actual like kid. I just heavily outlined and then little squiggles for some shoelaces. Okay, and then just quickly smudge those out. You can grab tissue paper if you don't have Q-tips and wrap it around your finger and smudge that. I usually find that's easier with these bigger sort of areas. Okay, even where there's like some white, you can still fill it in with a little bit of gray, like use the excess lead that's on your Q-tip. Okay, we just want all these sort of gray tones happening. Just to let you guys know, for the month of November, I'm going to be taking a break from my free tutorials. I'm not creating a piece for November. I've just been getting, it's just been stressful with a lot of hate comments and just negativity. I get quite a bit, and just kind of just been feeling like it's taking away from my happiness a little bit, just being on YouTube. So I'm just going to take a little break, and I might create a piece for December. Artist palettes. Still going to put on, obviously, free tutorials for November. It just, there won't be a drawing one. Oh, thank you. Just kind of want to take a little break. It's been a hard year. Pandemic's not easy on anybody, so just frustrating when there's a lot of people out there that still need to put more hate into the world. If they get really dark, like your grays, like don't worry about it, because we're gonna go in and erase kind of in and around them. Oh, thanks, guys. Positivity always makes up for it. I just kind of want to see if it, I don't know. It's emotionally a lot. You know, you put yourself out there in the world and then people gotta step all over it. You might not see the comments because I always block them, but it's just like, oh my goodness. Usually it's like kids, I think. They just hide behind a screen. They don't really understand that their comments make a difference, but I get it. Try and get, even in those areas that there's nothing, just try and squiggle in something so that you can get some of that white fog. Yep, I got my vaccine. I got double vaccinated. I'm not going out of town or anything. I also got a lot of Christmas commissions to do too, so I'm like, kind of freaking out. Okay, so now with your eraser, just make sure that you have like a nice clean edge, like no kind of lead on it. And then we're just basically doing that same motion or that same shape kind of inside those foggy areas with the white. And then you kind of want to add in some, like, go right over top of whatever object. Sorry, I'll get this nice and straight. We want that white to be on top of whatever it passes through. So it doesn't have to be drastically white. I'm just squiggling in whatever object it goes over. That's too bad for that object. We're cutting into it. It will erase some pencil crown, so you can go over those pencil crown areas. Just make sure that when you go to erase again, you have to erase that color off on a scrap piece of paper, so it'll kind of come off on your eraser. So I'm just, you kind of have to press harder over top of those darker areas, like your tree. See, I'm still leaving some of that gray haze around it, so I'm just going inside the gray haze. I might cut into that. And even if you want to add more white haze or fog and there's no gray part, you can go back in with your pencil and just sort of give a quick little outline to your fog. It makes it pop. See how that just made a difference in that little hook. Right, and then like pieces like this where you kind of lose that white. You can just go back in with your pencil and add in a little gray halo around it. So it makes it look like it's sitting on top of everything. Oh, you guys are so nice. Thank you. I'll come back for December. I'll do a nice big Christmas one. My free one for November anyway was gonna be like a something in Canada. It's Remembrance Day, but in the US it would be what do you guys call it? Like a Memorial Day, obviously for the war. My drawing didn't turn out anyways, so I just gave it to Vera. She's gonna do a painting. It just worked better as a painting, so it's gonna be a silhouette, and like sometimes the drawings as silhouettes don't really work out. It's just like coloring black. So I was like, I'm just gonna take a little break, a little emotional break. I'll be good. I'll come back full throttle. I'm still doing like my paid events, obviously. It's hard being on YouTube. Too many people. So that is how you draw. I forget what I named this one. The trick or treat, little spooky ghost town. It's a lot of fun. The thing with drawing is kind of. Ooh, wait. I'm gonna add one little halo over here. This is where you kind of want it down. These lower fog spots are nice for that creepy look. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Maybe if you have like, I always just imagine drawing with kids. It's so much fun. Like if you have a niece or a nephew or a little baby, or not baby, but a little kid at home, it'd be fun to kind of sit and do this with them on Halloween. If you guys can't go trick-or-treating because of COVID or whatever, this is always a little fun activity. It's going to be uploaded to YouTube as soon as I finish, so you can always rewatch it. I always recommend it to somebody else or whatever if you liked it. And I hope to see you guys again. It's nothing towards you guys. You all have been so lovely. So thanks so much for joining. I'll definitely come back for December. We'll do something cute. If you have any recommendations for what you would want to draw in December for a free tutorial, you're always welcome to send some recommendations. I was thinking of doing like a little snow globe with maybe like a little penguin in it or something. So yeah, I'm just gonna take some time to myself and get rejuvenated. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. I hope you all have a safe Halloween. Have fun. And I hope to see you guys in the future. I'm just going to take a minute to read some comments and then I'll sign off for everybody. I've never done a children's book. I've been asked a lot to do that, but it's not really in my realm. Well, thanks for the lovely comments. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night. Bye.